Hey guys, it's Lisa here from growkidsminds.com. I look like I'm superimposed on a movie screen or something at the moment, don't I? I'm away at the moment, and I wanted to make sure that I shoot this video while it's fresh in my mind. I get a lot of people ask me how to approach teachers so that they can see that you're looking for a solution that works both at home and in the classroom. And I hadn't realised how often I get asked this. Normally it's with different contexts and different problems, but the question's always the same, right? How do I find a solution that can work both at home for my child and also with the teacher in the classroom? And you know, I'm not going to lie, this is something I can struggle with sometimes, because while I look at it as a parent who's loving her child and wants the best for them and all the rest of it, I also can put myself in the teaching shoes and go, okay, well, how would I be viewing this? How am I viewing this interaction with a parent? How am I seeing this child? What am I doing in the classroom? So I've got that side. Then I've also got the side of, well, if it was my classroom, how would I be dealing with that situation? And then I've got the, okay, well, I'm the parent. So how do I make sure I get the best for my child without flying off the handle? Because let's face it, I'm far more emotional as a parent than I am as the classroom teacher, or as putting myself into the teacher's shoes. So the first thing that I need you to understand is that it's really important to focus on the fact that different environments have different rules and they're going to have different problems. So sometimes, you know, kids might be having certain problems at home, but they're not displaying those problems at school. And other times they might be having the other way around. They might be showing certain things happening at home, at school, but they're not occurring at home. So we need to be aware that, you know, sometimes you're kind of stuck in a hard place because you may not be seeing that, or the teacher may not be seeing what you're talking about. And that's just, it really comes down to different environments, different rules. They're going to have different problems. So, you know, in our house, I'm very structured with everything. Everything's very routine. And it's, you know, these are the things that we do. Here's the order that we do them in. This is the time they need to be done by. There's little, you know, depending on the child, there might be check boxes or pictures or whatever that they have to put in place. But the routine's always the same, right down to this is the time that we eat. We eat at the same time. At 10 o'clock's our fruit time. So at 10 o'clock, we always have fruit. At 12 o'clock, we have lunch. At 3 o'clock, we have snack. At 5:30, usually, we have dinner. At 4:30, we have a shower. So that's the routine. At 7 o'clock, it's bedtime. If you're older, then you get reading time. If you're getting towards the teens, you get to stay up until 8:30. So, but the routine is always the same. And that's how life is for me at home. But when we go to the classroom or school, there's going to be other problems. There's going to be different things, because they might be really routine in class time, but then they've got all that playtime where they're free. You know, there's 100 kids out there and one teacher, and whatever goes. There's rules, but you can't expect a teacher to be eyeballing every child for that whole period of time. So it's, you know, sometimes there might be a problem on the playground, and I would never see that, because at worst, you know, there might be 5 kids playing together, but it never gets to that point because I can see it coming. I'm watching them like a hawk when there's 5 of them. So what we need to do is, when something happens, so we're getting to, so what do we do? So if something's happening at school but not at home, or something's happening at home but not at school, the most important thing is to make sure you're working with the teacher. So I would normally call the school and ask for a meeting, depending on how your school works, or you can email the teacher and ask for a quick meeting after school, just to discuss what's going on. Ideally, you don't want the child in the room, because you don't want them to feel bad. A lot of the times the kids start to feel bad because their parents and teachers are talking about them. So ideally, you don't want them there. If you can organise a meeting time that the child's doing another sport, or it's during class time, or it's after they've gone in the morning and you just talk to the teacher for 5 minutes, that would be ideal. And then one thing I usually do is I'd check in with the teacher. I'm seeing this at home. Are you seeing that in the classroom? Or if I know that something's going on in the classroom, I'll go, okay, talk to me about what you're seeing in the classroom, or what you're seeing at school, what's happened or what's happening. And then they'll go through some things. And then I would normally go, okay, I can understand where you're coming from. I don't see that at home, but these are the things that I do to prevent that from happening. So, you always want to make sure that you're respectful, because if we can't be respectful to the teachers, how can we expect our kids to be respectful to teachers? And if, it goes both ways. Like if we're showing respect to the teachers are going to show respect back to us, obviously. And it also goes for the kids to understand that you and the teacher are on the same page. You want what's best for that child. And so what I would normally do is I try to come in as pretty level-headed as possible. I will ask them, okay, what's going on? I will tell them if I am or I'm not seeing that at home. And sometimes there might be a reason for that. Maybe something's happened at home. Maybe there's been a bit of an up and down that can often cause kids to go off a little bit. And then I offer them a solution. Okay, so I don't see that thing at home, but the reason I don't is probably because I do these things. And then I'll ask them, what do you think? Can you implement that somehow into the classroom? Okay, let's review again in a week. And I always will ask the teacher, okay, well, let's talk about it in a week, or let's talk about it at the end of the week and see if they've improved. But I'm also going to reinforce that at home. So let me think of an example. Okay, last year, one of the kids was getting a little bit rough on the playground. We had quite a disturbance, I guess, in our routines at home during that term. So I kind of knew it may happen, but I wasn't sure. So when I got called into school because he was being a bit destructive in the playground, or he was causing some problems in the playground, I went in kind of thinking, okay, well, I'm not surprised. I'm seeing a little bit of up and down at home. So I went in, okay, tell me what's happened. So I always want to understand what's happened first. Then I would normally ask some questions around that to make sure that, okay, have you gotten everyone's point of view? If there's multiple people involved, not just your side or the teacher's side, but did you get my child's side? Did you get anyone else's side? Okay, I want the whole story about everything. If I've had some warning, I will have sat down with my child and asked them what happened, explain everything to me. You don't get in trouble as long as you tell me the truth, but I need to know everything before I have to talk to your teacher. And most of the time the kids will tell everything, or tell everything from their perspective. Keep that in mind. It's their perspective. It's not always the truth. Sometimes it can be a little, I don't want to say, it's not like they intend to lie, but they might perceive it differently. So get their perspective, go and get the teacher's perspective, ask questions to get all of the story. And then I will say to them, okay, well, you know what? And last year, okay, I can understand we've had this happen. And so it's definitely created a bit of wave at home as well. So I think he's just finding his feet. And, this is what I'm doing at home to settle it down. Can you see if that works at school? Or I'll say, this is what I'm seeing the same thing at home. What have you tried? What have you already tried at school? And is it or isn't it working? So then we're working together. Like, what isn't working? And is there something working at home that can be implemented at school, or is there something working at school that I can take home with me? And then from there, I'll say, okay, well, I'll talk to him about it or her about it. And let's touch base again in a few days, at the end of the week, next week, whatever the case might be, and see how things have been going. Okay, great. Teacher's happy because you're working together and you're looking at finding a solution and you're not screaming at them. So that's a good thing. And then you should feel happy because you've worked together with the teacher to sort of try and figure out what's going on to make life better and easier for your child. And then I always make sure I'll go home and I'll talk to my child, depending which one it is, about what's, I won't go into detail about what's happened, but I'll say, look, I talked to the teacher and we've decided we're going to try and work on this for the next few days. So how do you think you can go about doing that? And I put the ball back in their court. How do you, this is the goal that we want. How are you going to work on doing that? And they'll come up with a bunch of things. Okay, perfect. The next day before school, we go and we review, okay, well, what things did we talk about yesterday? How are you going to know that you're doing that? What does that look like? All right, I'm going to check in with you when they get home in the afternoon. How did you go with that? Did you do this? Did you do that? Whatever the things were that they've said that they're going to do, we would go and I would go and check with them. All right, so that's kind of how you present a solution that works both for your child and with the teacher, or both at home and at school. So to recap, we're going to ideally speak to the child first once you know there's been a problem, get their whole story, understand it's from their perspective, it's not always the full truth. Then I'm going to go and speak to the teacher and find out what's happened there. I'm going to ask the teacher questions and make sure I understand that they have gotten all of the stories and it's across the board and we've gotten everything. Then I'm going to say what I'm finding at home, if it's been an up and down, if they're stable, if they're not stable, if there's been a change or no change, what is or isn't working. And I will ask them for what have they tried that is or isn't working. And then together we work out, like, let's work on this. And once I do that, I take it home to the child and I'm going to say, these are the things that, this is what the teacher and I decided to work on. One thing, just pick one thing. How do you think we can achieve that? They're going to list a few things. Go, okay, that sounds great. Let's review those, list them out. And then in the morning, before they go to school, remind them of those things. I would ask, what were those things that we said we're going to work on again? 1, 2, 3. Okay, perfect. Let's see, I know you can do this. I always, the positive, the language that we're using is going to reflect, I know you can do this. I'm looking forward to seeing you this afternoon and we'll talk about how it went. And then when they come out in the afternoon, okay, so how did you go? Did you do these things, the things that they've said? And then I do that for a few days and review with the teacher when I've said that I'm going to. And 9 times out of 10, it puts you and the teacher on the same page, which is really important. It helps the child see that you're both on the same page, gives the child consistency from home to school. Okay. All right, so that's it for me. That's how you can present a solution that can work both at home and with your teacher at school. If you have any questions, if something's causing concern or problems or bothers, please reach out to us and ask the question, and we could end up doing one of these videos for you too. So it's Lisa, we're at growkidsminds.com. If you haven't already downloaded our resource, our free resource list, you can find that at growkidsminds.com/resources, and I'll see you next week. Bye guys.